A. Factorize 2mn plus m squared minus 6n minus 3m. This isn't a quadratic, so we do not factorize by putting it into two brackets right away. We factorize by taking out the common factors within the terms of the expression. And then we can take out the common factors in pairs. So we can take out the common factors in the first two and take out the common factors in the second two. We can take out m from the first two and we can take out minus 3 from the second two. After we take these common factors out, we have two terms, and both terms have the common factor 2n plus m. Therefore, we can also take out 2n plus m from both of these terms. When we take out 2n plus m, we are left with m minus 3 for the remaining terms, and now we have completely factorized the expression because we've rewritten it in terms of something multiplied by something as 2n plus m multiplied by m minus 3. We can always check our answer for factorization questions because when you factorize something, you are just rewriting it. The value of the expression does not change. This means that if we expand the brackets of 2n plus m multiplied by m minus 3, we should get the same thing. 2. Factorize 4y squared minus 81. Between 4y squared and 81, there are no common factors, so we cannot factorize it by taking out the common terms. It's also not your usual quadratic because we don't have a y to the power of one term. But there is a rule that states that if you have a squared minus b squared, it will always equal a minus b multiplied by a plus b. And 4y squared is just 2y squared, and 81 is just 9 squared. Therefore, our a equals 2y and b equals 9, and we can factorize it using this rule. Again, we can check our answers by expanding the brackets to see if we get the original expression, because factorization is just rewriting the expression but not changing the value of the expression. Part 3. Factorize t squared minus 6t plus 8. Now this one is a quadratic, and we can factorize a quadratic by writing it into two brackets where we think about the factors of the number at the back, which is 8 in this case. The factors of 8 need to add to give minus 6. For example, factors of 8 are 2 and 4. 2 multiplied by 4 gives 8, but 2 plus 4 gives positive 6, so this combination doesn't work. 1 and 8 are also factors of 8. 1 multiplied by 8 equals 8, but 1 plus 8 equals 9 and not minus 6, so therefore this combination doesn't work. Minus 2 and minus 4 are also factors of 8. Minus 2 multiplied by minus 4 gives positive 8, and minus 2 plus minus 4 equals minus 6, which we want. Therefore, this combination of factors work. So the two numbers that are going to go into the bracket are minus 2 and minus 4. So the factorized format is t minus 2 multiplied by t minus 4. Again, we can check whether this factorized format is correct or not by expanding the brackets and seeing whether it simplifies to the original expression. B. Rearrange the formula to make x the subject for k equals 2m minus x all divided by x. This means that we want to rearrange this expression so that we have x equals something. To make x equal something, we cannot have x in the denominator of the fraction. So the first step is to remove the x from the denominator of the fraction, and we can do that by multiplying both sides by x. To rearrange to make x equal something, all the x's need to be on one side. So we can move the minus x to the right hand side by doing plus x to both sides of the equation. Now that we have all the x's on one side, we can get one single x by factorizing x plus kx because both terms have an x. So if we take x outside the bracket, we have x multiplied by 1 plus k equals 2m. And therefore, we can remove the 1 plus k by dividing both sides by 1 plus k. And now we have the x on its own on one side, so now x is the subject of the formula, and x equals 2m all divided by 1 plus k. C. Solve the simultaneous equations. You must show all your working. One method to solve simultaneous equations is by making the number in front of the x or the y the same. Then you can add or subtract the two equations to eliminate either x or y first. Once you do that, you can find the value of x or y first, then substitute it back into the equation for the other value. If we try to make the number in front of the x the same, we know that a half multiplied by 10 equals 5. This means that we can multiply 10 to the first equation to make it 5x. After making the coefficient of x the same, we can now subtract the two equations to eliminate the x so that we are left with the y only and we can solve for y. So we are left with minus 31y equals 62, and we can solve for y, and y equals minus 2. Once we have the value of y, we can substitute it back into either equation and solve for x. D. 3 over m plus 4 minus 4 over m equals 6. Show that this equation can be written as 6m squared plus 25m plus 16 equals 0. So what the question wants you to do is to rearrange the first expression so that it looks like the second expression. The first thing we notice about the expression that we want to rearrange it into is that it has no fractions. So the first step should be to get rid of the fractions, and we can do that by multiplying both sides of the expression by the product of all the denominators. The expression that we want to rearrange it into also has 0 on one side and everything else is on the other side. So we should be moving everything to one side. Part 2. Solve the equation 6m squared plus 25m plus 16 equals 0. Show all your working and give your answers correct to 2 decimal places. There are many ways you can solve a quadratic equation, but If it tells you to give your answers correct to 2 decimal places, it means that you cannot solve it by factorization, and the way to solve it is by using the quadratic formula. For this expression, our A equals 6, B equals 25, and C equals 16.